Ah, the winter break. That beautiful time of the year when you're off from school for a whole 2 weeks, you hang out with dear friends and family, and you can spend whole days outdoors having fun. If, that is, you like being cold, you actually have friends, and the teachers don't submerge you with homework. Happy New Year, everyone! Alright, I did have a considerable amount of assignments during the holidays, but that didn't stop my nerdy high school student mind to wonder, who is the strongest prosecutor in the Ace Attorney franchise? You know, a completely normal question to ask. The answer, though, is a bit more complicated than what you might think. So, join me on this fun journey full of anime powers, incorrect measurements, and everyone's favorite, math. First of all, we must choose a method to measure the strength of these wacky characters. I could have gone over all the transcripts from all the games to find evidence of a prosecutor beating someone up, or throwing something, or enduring any kind of physical challenge, but I ain't got time for that! Instead, we're going to look at how prosecutors fight against their opponents using airbending. If you look at the damaged or shocked sprites of attorneys and prosecutors, you'll see that they're usually being pushed backwards by an invisible force. That force is applied by the air controlled by their opponent, with the help of a complex physical phenomenon called magic. Are you with me so far? In order to find out who the strongest prosecutor is, we'll just need to measure the energy used against an attorney, and from there, compare the results. Make your bets now in the comment section below. If you guess correctly, you win absolutely nothing. But how could we possibly measure that kind of power, Francesco? I hear you ask. That's surprisingly simple. Let me introduce you to our new friend, kinetic energy. Kinetic energy is the energy of something that moves at a certain speed. An object that has a mass of 1 kilogram, i.e. weighs 2.2 pounds, and moves at 1 meter per second, about 2.2 miles per hour, will have a kinetic energy of exactly half a joule. If you have something still and you want it to travel up to a certain speed, you'll need to punch it with an amount of force equal to the kinetic energy you want to achieve. Okay, maybe don't actually punch it, you might hurt its feelings. Incidentally, you might notice that speed in this formula is raised to the second power, which means it has a great impact on determining kinetic energy. That's one of the reasons why a bullet, which has such a small mass, can be so deadly. It's going really fast. It also means that, in our case, the speed at which a character moves matters a lot more than their mass. To use this holy formula, we'll need to know the mass being pushed and how fast it's going. Since finding the body mass is the most boring one of the two, I'll get it out of the way first. I use two sites to calculate an approximate body mass. The first one is an ideal weight calculator, which approximately tells you the weight of a person given their age, sex, and height. The second step is to determine how much body mass is actually being thrown around, because, aside from a few cases, only a part of a person gets hit during the attack. That's where the second site comes into play. It offers a table with the weight of various body parts in percentage, compared to the total body weight. Let's take our blue boy, Phoenix Wright, as an example. In this sprite, he's 24 and has a canon height of 176 centimeters, which means he weighs around 69.7 kilos or 153 pounds. As you can see, when he's hit, his upper body moves, but everything below his waist is still. In the table, this translates to his trunk, head and arms, 56.1% of his body mass, or 39.1 kilos. Alright, Enough boring calculators and tables. It's time for the real fun to begin. How can we measure the speed at which these characters move? Since the speed seems to remain constant in these animations, which is technically impossible, but let's roll with it, we'll just need to use the good old formula speed equals space over time. Uh-oh. How can I measure the space covered in one movement? Well, when in doubt, why not go old school? Bring in the pixel measurements! Bear with me, Miles Edgeworth's canon height is 178 centimeters, but we can't use it directly in games, because we only ever see him from the waist up. Looking at this scene from the Ace Attorney official anime, yes, I actually did that, we can measure his shoulder width, 45 centimeters, and use that in the games instead. From these front sprites, we can measure how wide his shoulders are in pixels, and finally find out that a pixel in-game is about 0.46 centimeters in real life. Now we can finally start measuring stuff. Back to our rookie lawyer Phoenix Wright. With the help of paint.net, I measured his motion to be about 43 centimeters long, and in OpenShot I could correctly measure the time needed for that movement, about 0.043 seconds. It's the moment of truth. How much energy do you need to shock Phoenix Wright in the original trilogy? Turns out, not a lot, just 0.048 joules. That's as much kinetic energy as an apple falling from the tip of a shoe. It's really not impressive. Whoever uses such low energy must either have a really weak powers, not want to hurt Phoenix, or be a 5-year coma victim. Oh. That's right, everyone. Welcome the second weakest Prosecutor in the entire franchise, Godot. His biggest disadvantage in this competition is that he appears only in Trials and Tribulations, and he only ever attacks Phoenix. So, sorry Godot, but you're only the 9th strongest Prosecutor. You'll have to share that position with Winston Payne, young Clavier Gavin, and, surprisingly, Manfred von Karma. Dang, we just knocked out both Godot and von Karma? They were the one I was originally rooting for. I mean, look at these guys. You'd think they would have more strength in them. Let's now cover Mia Fey and Apollo Justice. The two prosecutors facing Mia are Winston Payne and young Miles Edgeworth, during 2 flashback cases. They both deliver 0.67 joules of energy, which is still not a lot, and place at a very respectable 8th place. As for Apollo, he gets the crap beat out by Clavier and Payne, who secure 5th place by hitting him with 11 whole joules of energy. Yeah, I have a confession to make. Up until now, I've been trying to act like these are big numbers, but honestly, 11 joules aren't that impressive. I mean, they are certainly enough to hurt you, but these are not the ridiculous, over-the-top numbers I had imagined. And with a start like this, I don't think later games will be much different. Hold the heck up! That's right, everyone, it's that forgettable tutorial man from Ace Attorney Investigation to set a new record on our violence scale. Just look at this poor prosecutor. Adege simply points at him and he flies back, being struck with 33.3820499 joules of energy. That's like being run over with a bike going at 8.6 kilometers per hour or 5.3 miles per hour. Part of me wants to say that this is not okay, but this is exactly the kind of power I was looking for. And just look at how his back bends backwards. That's going to cause serious problems if you don't get it checked. Turns out, when Miles isn't against Phoenix or Franziska, he becomes a beast. He definitely earned his place on the podium as the second strongest prosecutor. Speaking of Franziska, his power is a little inconsistent between games. Firstly, she holds back with Wright but goes wild against Edgeworth, using 0.048 joules in one instance and 1.27 in the other. Secondly, Maya's girlfriend is much stronger at the age of 13 than when she's 18. Finally, this little girl is many times stronger than her own dad, who's not only a grown man, but also a lot more evil. I just can't explain these inconsistencies. It almost seems like Capcom wasn't actually introducing airbending to these games, but just using ridiculous reactions as comic relief. But no, that can't be right. Anyhow, young Franziska is in 6th place and adult Franziska in 7th, along with Jack Sportsman and Sebastian the Best. Also, 49-year-old Von Karma is the absolute weakest character in this list, dealing barely 0.01 joules of damage to the legendary Gregory Edgeworth. Such a disappointment. This man acts almighty and powerful, and yet he'd struggle to shoo a fly away. No wonder he carries a taser around. He definitely needs it for self-defense. Alright, we only have 3 spots left and 9 contestants to fill them. It's the battle for the ages. From Ace Attorney Dual Destinies, I present to you the absolutely unbearable rookie humiliator, Gaspen Payne. The wrongly convicted Twisted Samurai, Simon Blackquill. And the triumphantly revived Conviction Machine, Miles Edgeworth. In 3rd place, dealing a whole 28.89 joules of damage, we have... actually, all of them. What about Gaspen Payne and Nayuta Sadmadi from Spirit of Justice? Surely they must be... Nope, still 3rd place, all of them. Huh, that was anticlimactic. But surely Queen Garan Siga something from Kurain will place on the podium, right? Wrong. She only ever attacks Apollo with a mere 27.85 joules of energy, and that is barely enough to earn her 4th place. I hear you. Francesco, are you actually kidding me? Are you saying an old man with a fan that says guilty on it is supposedly more powerful than any other prosecutor we've met so far? And to that I say... absolutely. Have you seen what this guy can do? He just slammed a 23-year-old against the wall. That's at least 179 joules of energy, and probably more, since the motion was stopped by the wall halfway. I was worried about a dude having back problems, but Ryunosuke is straight up being hit by a car. For comparison, we started this competition saying that Phoenix receives a force of 0.04 joules. The energy coming from Auchi is 3,753 times stronger. I imagine that, after losing his beloved hair twice, he'd be happy to know that, at least, he's officially the strongest prosecutor. That's right, Taketsuchi Auchi. Of course, you must have made the connection by now. If Ryunosuke receives 179 joules of damage, that means that whoever attacks Ryunosuke is also the strongest prosecutor. Without any further ado, I present to you the 3 absolute strongest prosecutor in the entire Ace Attorney franchise. Taketsuchi Auchi, Baroque Van Zix, and Kazuma Azuki. Way to treat your best friend, just investing with over 180 joules of magic energy, I'm sure he'll be fine. Thank you for watching till the end. I started working on this video during the winter break, and now suddenly it's April? Where has the time gone? This was definitely a new experience for me, writing, recording and editing a video essay, though about a very dumb idea. There are just a few more images I want to show you. Here's the final list of these prosecutors in order of power. These here are the tables containing all the data gathered and my calculations, along with the pixel to metric conversions for each game. Let me know if you like this video, because I just might make more in the future. The idea to make something like this came primarily from Kekilius' book The Physics of Superheroes, and Austin Harrigan's show The Science. Both of these brought me a lot of entertainment and desire to nerd about the strangest things. I highly recommend you check them out if you're at all interested in superheroes, video games, or applied physics. With that said, I'm finally at the end of my 4 pages long script and I really need some sleep. So, see you next week.